What I'd like to do first is quickly reflect on how we came to where we are today, where we got to in launching NQK. We started at Birchwood in June 2009, and we had an afternoon session where the membership brainstormed what they wanted from the steering group and what their comments were. The first thing is, they accepted the great strengths of the CQI's body of quality knowledge. But they kept saying the nuclear industry has specific cultural, legal, practice differences, even from the other major hazard industries. A big thing that came out was the identification of a large number of new quality professionals that would be needed in the UK developing nuclear industry. Without being rude to my fellow authors and the members of the SIG, if you look at it, you'll realise there's a large amount of retirement present, even if we act as consultants thereafter. The key message was, though, too many members, when they joined the nuclear industry, found it difficult to understand the nuclear quality aspects. So, could we produce a supplement to the BOQK that was nuclear specific? We came up with a steering group vision statement, project management, January 2010. The CQI body of quality knowledge is defined as all the words there that are in the CQI's website. The nuclear supplement, NQK, will provide knowledge applicable to quality professionals undertaking activities in the UK nuclear sector. By this stage, we're having discussions with Gautier on the steering group, which said, well, French, we do things slightly differently. We were on a learning curve. We're still on a learning curve. What's going to be applicable in the UK sector? We're not trying at the moment to write what's applicable in the US or the French or the Chinese or the Finnish. The comment was, we'd really like it web-based, and if you can produce a printed version, some of the more senior members like marking them up. So, here's the document we're launching today in our response to the membership's desire. From the original topics that members suggested, and after the steering group had several long email discussions trying to align the topics with the body of quality knowledge, among other things, we ended up with the contents we have today. There's numerous references and links embedded within each chapter. What we have done is put them all at the back in one section, chapter by chapter. We've tried to make it easier for you to read, and if you want to find further information, all the references are in one place. People within the nuclear industry have often been very insular, often for very good reasons. They've assumed that everyone would know as much about the industry as they thought they did themselves. That was rarely so. Few people actually did know terribly much about all aspects of the industry. And with 30 years' experience in it, often the quality professionals have the widest perspective. Often more than even senior management, because they haven't got the detail that most of the quality professionals have. The nuclear industry is heavily regulated. As a former regulator, I would say that, but it's, compared to other industries, it is. And to understand the requirements and expectations on the industry, it's desirable to understand the various aspects of UK law. England and Wales and Scotland. And the industry goes across both. Bits of radiation practices happen in Northern Ireland as well. Varying laws, legal systems applying different law. The operations versus final disposal and discharges, different regulators, ONR and Environment Agency and SEPA. But you need to understand when you're working in the industry some of the requirements and expectations on it, where they've come from, why laws have been enacted. And a lot of it comes from international and European directives. And all I can say from the quality perspective is the international requirements and guides produced by the IEA, they're a bedrock almost of what we do. We've heard people using terms radiological safety, nuclear safety, radiation safety, environmental safety. There is a definition of nuclear safety from the IEA that actually has subsumed all the other ones. And all I can say is to practitioners in the industry, please read this chapter, because it might actually clarify a lot of what's said if we actually all speak the same words and understand what we're saying. I think it's all recognised in every major accident that has occurred in the last 20 years that safety or security and safety or security itself, culture, the culture of people is very important. We've all been there when somebody said, this instruction's wrong, that's not how we do it. Well, why is the instruction still wrong? And why is somebody doing it? Because the culture is wrong about changing it and doing it. And at the end of the day, I come back to safety cases. If you're going to justify nuclear safety, you have to have a safety case. And that safety case has got to properly address all the hazards and all aspects of safety. In discussions about procurement, various figures have been used for the amount undertaken by subcontractors and suppliers. I've tapped friends, colleagues, and those I know in the industry, and I've had a consensus that seems to lie, depending on which part of the industry you're in, it's somewhere between 50% and 80% of their expenditure is on supply chain activity. That means that nearly all the structures, systems and components and many of the services critical to nuclear safety are procured. And as such, I would suggest this is a key area, and it's a key area, I think, from my experience, that quality professionals haven't always been involved in adequately. Large and even medium-sized organisations have internal purchasing arrangements, formal, informal, but they need controlled. The concept of an intelligent customer needs to be driven through the procurement chain. It's no good the licensee saying, I'm responsible, if at the end of the day it's a safety pin 10 stages down the supply chain which fails and lets everything else out, and it hasn't been considered as a critical component. There is a straight linkage between procurement and specifications and safety cases. So licensees and suppliers need to agree on inspection, process qualification, traceability requirements, as well as record formats. Oh, and by the way, certain items really do need to be certified or certificated.